You can't play bishop f6 because rook f6. You can't take because of the back rank problem. Queen takes f6 check. What a finish. What a finish from Daniil Dubov. Look at all these pieces. 3 pawns, 2 knights, bishop, rook, all on this side of the board. Doing almost nothing. The FIDE Chess World Cup is underway. In this video, I'm going to focus on the game between Daniil Dubov and Vladimir Malakhov. First up, let's introduce the players. Daniil Dubov, 25 years old, rating 2714. Dubov, he is known as one of the most creative players. One of the most creative Russian players. In the past, Daniil, he's worked with Magnus Carlsen. His opponent, Vladimir Malakhov, 41 years old, from Russia, rating 2666. Let's check out this game now. I always like analysing Dubov's games because they are so complex. First up, the time control. Both players start with an hour and a half each plus 30 seconds per move. Dubov has white, Malakhov has black. d4, d5, c4, c6, we have the Slav, knight f3, knight f6, and after knight c3, a6, we have the Chebanenko Slav. By the way, if you're interested, you may want to check out this video. I played a blitz game last year against the Chebanenko, and yeah, I recorded it and gave my analysis at the same time. So check out that game after. Now the point of a6 is to go b5, and that's what Dubov allows. He even sacrifices a pawn with g3. D takes e4, bishop g2. Bishop now occupies a potentially very useful diagonal. g6, castle, bishop g7, and e4. So the downside of black capturing on c4 is it does give white the center, but black is up a pawn. Castle, queen e2, attacking the pawn. There are 2 ways to defend it, b5 or bishop e6. b5 is the best way. a4, attacking the structure straight away, and b4, very, very committal move. Dropping the knight back. So now the queen actually attacks the pawn. Now when I saw this position, I thought, why not bishop b7? Well, when you put this bishop on this diagonal, don't expect it to see the light of day very soon. It's in the way. Its counterpart on g2 is more aggressive. So let's play on a bit. Rook d1, put the rook against the queen, and if e6, controlling the square, d5, let's go bishop f4, and if knight d7, bishop d6. Already, this is typical compensation, knight d5, knight e4, and this bishop doesn't exist. So this is quite typical in these kind of structures where black is up a pawn, but he's got this structure where this bishop really isn't in the game. And very powerful knight on e4, bishop on d6, even get your h4, h5 going. A typical way grandmasters like to continue. If queen e7, then we can go h4 here, knight e5. If h4, knight d7, this is called line e5. And after knight d5, you go bishop g5. If you take, black can actually play queen b4, but if you take, queen e8, this really is compensation, knight d2. Couple of bishops just slicing the board. Also, the knight can come into e4, so this is the kind of position I bet Dubov was after. But after a4, Malakhov didn't give him this option, he plays b4. Knight d1, queen attacks pawn, so you play a5 indirectly defending it because you can't take, because bishop a6. You lose your rook. So cool move there, a5. Good move. So rook e1 out the way, so he defends. e5. Dubov has to act fast because he is down a pawn. Knight d5 and now e6. He really does act fast. After e6, black now plays f5. You don't want to play f6, locking in your bishop. So he actually goes f5. Now the downside to this move, it allows white's knight to come in with knight e5. This knight on b8 has no easy access into the game. Maybe it's okay being down a pawn. e6, f5, knight in. Rook f6, going after this pawn, and knight f7, attacking queen. Queen goes to c8. The point is, black is now putting pressure on this pawn. Knight e3, and that's the funny thing. Dubov, he doesn't actually defend it. Well, he defends it indirectly by creating a greater threat. Knight e3, rook takes e6 played. By the way, you can't go bishop g5, which was what I was thinking. Attacking the rook, because you can't take because of this, is because black can now play c3 attacking the queen. And there's no good way for white to defend a pawn. You get your queen out of the way and you've just chucked your pawn. And black is winning. So knight e3, good move. Dubov has to act fast. Rook takes e6, and now knight g5. This rook is not looking like it's on the best square. If rook f6, which is a blunder, take. Game over. Check. All of a sudden, this Catalan bishop wins the game. So you can't do that. After knight e3, rook e6, knight g5, c3. Malakhov has his own threat. Queen out of the way, and now he decides to sacrifice with rook takes e3. When he does this, he actually gets a bishop and 2 pawns for the exchange. But his king is very weak. Take, take. Consider this situation. Black has 7 pawns, white has 5 pawns. Weak king. Bear this idea in mind. In the future, we're going to play queen b3 to actually give a very annoying check on this diagonal. Black's king is not safe. Also, not all of black's pieces are in the game. Queen takes b2. Knight d7. Finally, this knight is in the game. Rook c1, get a c file. Knight b6, you attack this pawn. Queen b3. Which I said about 10 seconds ago. Queen b3 defensive pawn, but more importantly, it actually stops that knight moving. Bishop b7, defending the pawn. Very passive move, but it's not actually clear what black can do. Bishop b7, defending the pawn, and now bishop f4. Very cool move, because he really is using this pin. Bishop f6, attack the knight. Knight goes in. King out the way. Bishop h6, controlling lots of squares around the king. Queen g8, planning to go g5, trapping the bishop, so Dubov says, no, let's play h4. Rook b8. Even though black has lots of pieces, that's the funny thing, he can't even move. It's just not obvious what black can actually do. Rook c5, you attack the pawn, so black just goes back with rook a8. Knight g5, putting pressure on the e-pawn. He's not going to take it anytime soon, but the knight has done its job. Knight comes back to g5, rook a7. Black is sitting and waiting, even though he's got so many pieces. That's why I find this game fascinating. Dubov is known for his creative style, but also known for creating very complicated games. Rook c2, rook goes back, rook is doing nothing. Queen e8, rook e6. So the knight used to be here, but now Dubov puts the rook into e6. Why? Bishop takes d4, so he gives up a pawn. h5, let's get on with the attack, and now bishop f6, blunder. Because this piece is going to be under attack. Rook e2. There's so much pressure on the e-file. Bishop takes g5, giving up the bishop. Bishop takes g5, and guess what? Guess what? That's how creative Dubov is. He doesn't even take back the bishop. He goes queen b2 check. If you move the king, queen g7 is mate. So you have to block, but he blocks with the knight. You can't play bishop f6 because rook f6. You can't take because of the back rank problem. Queen takes f6 check. What a finish. What a finish from Daniil Dubov. Queen b2 check. Black blocks with knight c3. Taking back the bishop now. Knight a4. Look at all these pieces. 3 pawns, 2 knights, bishop, rook, all on this side of the board. Doing almost nothing. Knight a4 attacks the queen. Queen a1, keeping the queen on this diagonal. So then the knight cannot take the rook. King gets out the way. Rook e1. So now rook e7 is next. And there's no way to defend it. There's no good way to defend it, I mean. So Malakhov, he actually plays bishop a6, so then the rook defends it. But the problem with moving the bishop to a6 is now bishop takes c6. You attack the queen and the knight. One option, maybe bishop a8, but really black's pieces are just tragic. Time to cash in on e7, but you can play bishop takes e7. Even rook takes e7 looks good, but why not play bishop takes e7? So then you've got a discovery later. The bishop can actually come back, and really, this is white's next move. Rook e8 check on the back, and just completely winning. Bishop a6 played. Bishop takes c6. Queen goes to d8. But after bishop takes a4, white is up a rook. Queen d5. Planning bishop b7 to try and checkmate, but bishop c6, and in this position, Malakhov resigned. Such a complex game. Black is just down too much material. He's down a rook. Bishop c6, no chance for black to checkmate. Queen can move out the way, and then you can cash in on e7. Bishop takes e7 looks really good. And then come back, and then like I said before, well, check on the back. Absolutely crushing victory from Dubov. Very creative, very messy middle game. That's why I love analysing his games. So, a quick summary of the entire game. We have the Slav, Cherebenko, so he gives up a pawn, and now white gets the centre. White tries to get back the pawn, smashing open the structure. Why is down a pawn? He's got to act fast. E5, E6, crashing through. Knight in. Knight F7, really aggressive way to play. Knight E3, great move. The first great move of the game. Rook takes E6, knight back to G5. We have this complex moment. Minor piece and 2 pawns for the rook. But black can't move, that's the thing. He's got 2 knights, 2 bishops, lots of pawns, but he can't move. Queen B3, that is a perfect move. That's a star move, really. That queen stops this knight moving, and effectively, black can't do anything. Bishop B7, bishop F4, another great move. Using this pin. Knight in, bishop in, H4, good move. And the pressure builds. Now time, here's the next key moment. Switch it up, go back to the E-file. E-file, crashing through, and rook E2. Bishop takes G5, and here's another star move with the queen. Queen B2 check. 2 star moves in this game, I would say. Queen B3, and now Queen B2 check. Blocks, come back, take, and I mentioned the entire left-hand side. It might as well just disappear. If that happened, then it's like 2 rooks and a bishop against a queen. Queen A1, keep the pin, another star move. And crashing through here. So Daniil, he's 1-0 up. So tomorrow, if he gets at least a draw against Malakhov, then he will go through to the next round of the World Cup. Here's YouTube's suggestion for what to watch next, but if you don't like that option, you might like Daniil Dubov, The Winner's Journey. How did he become World Rapid Champion? If you prefer a shorter video, you might like this one. Checkmate Magnus Carlsen in 30 seconds. This is a bullet video. Thanks for watching.